Hello friends, welcome back to Blocktribe. In this video, we'll be learning about mappings. So mappings in Solidity is a key value store where you can store and retrieve data based on a specific key. So it is similar to hash table or dictionary in other programming languages. The syntax to declare a mapping is as follows. So mapping, you'll write mapping, you'll write the key type, and you would say equal to and greater than sign, then you'll say the value type and the mapping name. So ideally, taking an example, mapping uint the string, and you say the mapping name as employee. So uint stands for the number. Basically, suppose for an employee, his id is a number, so id, and the value would stand to his name. So in other programming languages, you might have also learned about nested dictionaries or hash tables, where a value can have itself other dictionaries. So similarly, we have in Solidity also, we have a concept of nested mappings, where a mapping value can have a mapping itself. So basically, what I meant by saying it was, I want an employee whose address is mapped to his name, and from that name we can get his age as well. So how we can do it? We can simply point it to like mapping an address, and then the value can itself have a map where we are mapping his name to his particular age, and then we write the name as employee. So similarly, the output, the basic structure would be something like this. Address is mapped to a value where the value is itself a map, and the map is name and the age. So this in Solidity is also termed as double mappings or nested mapping. Let's first start with the basics. We'll also learn this in the next video. What operations can be perform on mappings? We can perform setting values, we can perform retrieving values, we can check existence and deleting values. In this video, we'll be learning about mappings, how to set them, how to retrieve them, how to check a particular key exists in a map or no, and how to delete a particular value in a mapping. Let's dive right in. I have created a small contract. Let's try to create a mapping where I would take the address, suppose you take a employees whose UINT um, is the employee ID, and string is the name, and you just say employee, and yeah, I think so we are done. This is how you create a mapping in Solidity. Now if I want to particularly set a value, so how would I do? I would just simply write a function set employee, and what would we set? We would set public, and that's it, I guess. What do you want to set? We can just simply set this employee by just giving, so it takes uint as the key, so you just point it to 1, and you say string name as Rahul, and yep. Similarly, you can also take employee and you can say 2, and you can say the second name as Ankit. That's so this is how you have set a value. This is how you set a value in Solidity for a map. Now if let's try to get the value as well, so that we have a clear idea we have done it correctly or no. You say as public view returns, and what do you want to return? You would return string memory, and you want to return based on the key. So it is basically uint, and key would be the value, oh sorry, key would be the name of the parameter. Now what do you want to return? You want to return the employee, you want to return the employee's key. So this is it. Now let's try to deploy this particular contract. So yeah, now let's first try to set the value, and you see we have set the value. Now you pass in the key as 1, you will get the name as Rahul, whereas if you pass it 2, you would get Ankit, and if you pass it as 3, there won't be anything, so you will get a null. So this is how you particularly set values and retrieve values in a mapping. So now let's look at how to check existence of a particular key in mapping. So ideally, there is no concept of checking a key's existence in Solidity. What we generally do is, when suppose you deploy the contract, you just see that you have set it, set the mapping, and then you simply say 1, and you will get the value as Rahul, whereas you do it 2, you will get it as Ankit. But when you do it as 3, so you get it as null. In Solidity, basically, there is a mapping for every possible key, but the value stays null. So ideally, there is no concept of checking existence in Solidity. It's just that if the key value is not there, it would be null, or if the number's value is not there or not set, it would be 0. So this is how we check existence. And now let's move on to how to delete values in a mapping. So you just simply say function del empl, and you give the similar. Now we don't need to return anything, simply. So yeah, that's return. And what we want to not return, we don't want to return, we will say delete, and we would say the employee and the key. Now what this does is, it takes in the key as a parameter, and it would particularly delete that entry from the mapping. Now let's go ahead and deploy, and yeah, so let's go ahead and deploy. So first we will try to set the value. Now let's check the value at the first index, it's Rahul. Second index, it's Ankit. Third index, it's nothing. Now let's delete the value at first index. We go ahead and delete it. Now if I check the value at the first index, it says null. So this is how you delete values. So this is it on Solidity mappings. We hope you found this tutorial helpful. If you have any suggestions, you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them below. Thanks for watching.